Okay, so I've been making various posts about potential escalation with Russia and North Korea in tow. So that there needs to be a differentiation between what Russia's actually done and when people think nukes, they just think nukes. Yeah. So when people generally think nukes, they're generally thinking about the Satan 2, which is the Sarmat. Yeah. So they have this whole thing about what the blast radius is for Sarmat. I mean, obviously this is the initial blast radius. If you're internal there, it's complete vaporization. So you have initial blast, and over 24 hours you get the irradiation. So that's why they always say wait 24 hours. So I mean, this, that's complete annihilation from there, yeah. And then you get the fallout. So the thing about Russian nuclear systems, they tend to be huge, yeah, where Western nuclear systems tend to be smaller and more directed. So like the Russians like to kind of just be really big and just big and bold and everything else. And they also have a torpedo system, which they put on the Belgorod. So the Belgorod, this is when they were talking about launching a huge torpedo, and it causes a tidal wave. The tidal wave is about half a kilometer in size, and then it's heavily irradiated and washes over a country, and then the country's irradiated, basically. They usually, I mean, they've just seen the Belgorod leave its home in the Arctic, so it's unmoored and it's left. So there's either saber rattling or it's moving into a strategic position. So I mean, there's obvious escalation. There's the Belgorod leaving its mooring. There's the train moving down to Ukraine. So the nuclear systems on the train, that all the Satan 2s, they're all siloed. So you don't move those around. They've got a range of 18,000 miles. So the systems that they're moving internal to the border with Ukraine, those are tactical systems. And when we talk about tactical systems now, those have the same yield as we had in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's that kind of yield. Just the yield on nuclear weapons has gone huge. Yeah. And so I mean that's considered tactical yield now. Obviously the West has a whole bunch of different countermeasures and the countermeasures and the countermeasures. So I haven't even spoke about the Western countermeasures. You expect them to be more technically advanced, at least you hope, and surely it's mostly by the Americans, right? So that's why the Russians get so uptight about encroachment on their border, because obviously then you get American ABM systems, because it becomes NATO, and those can nullify the nuclear threat. So you don't get the balance. So if these guys really want to escalate, then obviously ABM cloak has been developed in the last 12 months with everything that's been going on in the East. And obviously been making moves in that direction. If you see the HIMARS, which is not even the highest tech from the Americans, which is ultra accurate, in comparison to the Russians, just kind of like, bleh, and they just try to do shock and awe. You can see how this kind of works out. Obviously, if one of those Sarmats gets through the ABM cloak, then you're finished. Yeah. And then also they also need to track the Belgorod and make sure that they know where it is, so it can't detonate this huge tidal wave. So as long as they're on the ball, then hopefully they're on the ball. But if one of those gets through, then yeah, it's pretty terrifying. Thanks.